The name Nurmagomedov is one that has taken on an entirely new level of meaning since Khabib The Eagle's earliest days as a lightweight prospect. Though famous in Dagestan alongside his father Abdulmanap, Khabib's rise into a global superstar and lightweight great has paved the way for many others who carry the name Nurmagomedov. These days, the name is synonymous with fighting excellence, as the legacy of this Dagestan family grows in the absence of both the late patriarch of the clan and his retired son. Now the brothers Usman and Umar Nurmagomedov are looking to carry the torch, bolstered by their connection to their cousin Khabib. But to understand why their name carries so much weight here, why the Nurmagomedov family are so revered, starting at the very top with Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov is the correct route.
It's time!
Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov is a name that commands major respect in the world of mixed martial arts, particularly in his home country of Dagestan. He was a man who dedicated his life to the art of combat and was known as a master coach who produced some of the greatest fighters in the world. Abdulmanap's influence on Dagestan MMA cannot be overstated. He was not just a coach, but a father figure and mentor to countless young fighters. His gym was a place where aspiring athletes could come to learn not just about fighting, but also about discipline, respect, and honor. Abdulmanap's training methods were tough and rigorous, but they produced results. To this day, Abdulmanap's students live and breathe his code of ethics. One of his most famous students was his own son, Khabib, who would go on to become one of the greatest fighters in the history of the sport. Abdulmanap, a former army veteran and freestyle wrestling coach, first noticed his son Khabib's natural talent for combat sports when he was just a boy. He began training him in wrestling and sambo, a Russian martial art, and soon realized that his son possessed a rare combination of strength, endurance, and mental fortitude that would make him a formidable opponent in any combat sport. But his legacy would stretch far beyond his own son's achievements, and we're seeing that now with the success of Islam Makhachev, the rise of Umar Nurmagomedov, and the dominance of the Bellator king Usman Nurmagomedov. Abdulmanap was also known for his commitment to his community. He founded a sports club in his hometown of Kirovaul, where he trained and mentored young athletes. When this father to Dagestan MMA passed away in 2020, it was a blow that was felt far beyond the hills of Dagestan. And of course, it was the thing that directly contributed to Khabib hanging up his gloves for good. Perhaps prematurely, some might say. But his legacy lives on through the countless fighters he trained and the community he helped to build. His influence will continue to inspire generations of athletes to come, not just in Dagestan, but all over the world. Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov was a true legend, a master coach, and a role model for all who knew him. His greatest achievement, of course, was in the honing of his son Khabib's talents. Khabib's upbringing was rigorous and disciplined, waking up before dawn every morning to train with his father and older brothers. Though his early years in wrestling and sambo saw him carve out a glittering career, Khabib had his sights set on something bigger, the UFC, and the life of mixed martial artist. The fighting style he developed in this sport was relentless, aggressive, but also highly nuanced, making him a nightmare for even the most experienced of opponents. And over the coming years, the Eagle would develop a fighting system that became synonymous with the region, an unstoppable onslaught of grappling and wrestling that saw him cut through some of the undisputed greats of the lightweight division. Rafael dos Anjos, Conor McGregor, Edson Barboza, Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje all had little to no answer for Nurmagomedov's overbearing style of offense. As he climbed up the pound-for-pound ladder, people started to wonder whether we were watching the greatest fighter of all time in the flesh. However, he would leave MMA behind him before we could get a definitive answer to that question. When Abdulmanap sadly passed away, Khabib abruptly retired from the sport, leaving after just 3 defenses of his lightweight crown. His record left just 1 fight shy of the 30-fight milestone. In retirement, Khabib, of course, continued to honor his father's legacy in and out of the octagon, transitioning to a coaching role to train and inspire the next generation of fighters. His coaching record was also pretty outstanding after his own exit from the fight game, and leading his old friend and gym mate Islam Makhachev to his own shot and eventual capture of UFC gold seemed to be just as important to him as any of his own victories. But it wasn't just the greatness of Makhachev that Khabib had a hand in. No, over in Bellator, another Nurmagomedov was making some serious waves, proving himself to be a real contender for the title of greatest fighters outside the UFC. Usman Nurmagomedov is a name that has quickly become known in the world of mixed martial arts. Like his famous relatives, he too was born in Dagestan, Russia, and he also grew up in a family that valued hard work and discipline. It was only natural that Usman would follow in his family's footsteps and pursue a career in MMA. Usman's rise to the top was a steady one. He started his career in regional promotions, building up an impressive record of 11-0 before signing with Bellator MMA in 2021. Though his own fighter, there were certainly hints of that legendary Dagestan fighting system in what he did. But overall, Usman's striking game was more impressive than most expected. It didn't take long for Usman to make an impact in Bellator, as he quickly racked up 3 victories in 2021 to open his promotional account. Usman's rise to Bellator Gold has been nothing short of impressive. His skill set, which combines striking and grappling, makes him a formidable opponent for anyone in the division. But it's his work ethic and dedication to his craft that truly sets him apart. Usman is a fighter who is constantly striving to improve, always looking for ways to get better. And at 25, it's kind of terrifying how much time he has on his hands. He's already ranked in Bellator's top 5 pound-for-pound fighters, and his best wins have certainly proved his elite quality. He defeated Patrick Pitbull in a highly impressive display to become the Bellator lightweight champion. And for his first defense, he finished the great Benson Henderson in the first round, dropping him with a huge kick before submitting him with a rear naked choke. A loss that actually led to Benson's retirement. It may be too early to make a concrete call, but judging off his early success, Usman is certainly poised to follow in the footsteps of his uncle and become one of the greatest lightweights on the planet today. Whether he can take his legacy even further than that is another question entirely, but Usman is not the only undefeated Nurmagomedov prospect making waves. No, his brother Umar is actually in even a better position to become a major superstar, as he edges closer to the top 10 of the absolutely stacked bantamweight division in the UFC. The story of his upbringing is quite similar to that of Khabib and his younger brother Usman, but in his earliest days he also took on some experience in Thai boxing, which you can certainly see in his fighting style. After going a clean 12-0 on the regional scene, Umar made his UFC debut in January 2021, facing off against Sergey Morozov in a bantamweight bout. The fight was a showcase of Umar's skills, as he dominated Morozov before eventually scoring a rear naked choke in the second round for a cool 50k performance of the night bonus check. This win was a statement to the rest of the UFC bantamweight division that Umar was a force to be reckoned with. In a star-driven weight class with some huge names up the ladder, Umar was no doubt looking at strikers like Sean O'Malley, TJ Dillashaw, Petr Yan and Marlon Vera with some real excitement. Now 4-0 in the promotion, Umar is ranked as the number 11 bantamweight in the world today, putting him in a prime location to break into the title picture with another win or two. And that's the expectation at this stage. When you have the name Nurmagomedov, there's certainly a weight that falls on your shoulders. But that doesn't mean that Usman and Umar aren't up to the task. As things stand, the combined record for these 3 outstanding Nurmagomedovs is a whopping 62-0. That's a fighting dynasty that just doesn't have an equal in MMA today. As the next generation of Dagestani fighters begins to emerge, it's clear that the influence of the Nurmagomedov family and the Dagestan system will continue to be felt in the world of MMA. These young talents are very clearly already living up to the hype, and Dagestan's status as one of the world's greatest hotbeds for fighting talent is now beyond any doubt. It's crazy how just a few years ago most MMA fans would have never heard of the place. But in the mountains of Dagestan, something was building, a thing that would eventually take the fight game and reshape it in its image. However, it's not just about winning fights and the glory of stacking up promotional champions. Khabib and Abdulmanap's influence on Dagestan MMA goes much deeper than that. They have helped to create a culture of discipline, hard work, and respect for tradition in their homeland. They have inspired a new generation of fighters who see far beyond their successes in the fighting and coaching game. No, these men are revered as role models. And at this stage, it's clear that numbers really do speak for themselves. The Nurmagomedov family are the baddest fighting family in the world, folks. And not only do they have the silverware and the numbers to prove it, but even a mention of their name is enough to bring to mind a mental image of their overbearing dominance. For Umar, achieving bantamweight gold would be a major challenge, especially given that 135 pounds might just be the best division in the sport. but if he can do it, it'll be an achievement worthy of his family name. And as for Usman, he's young enough that he will hopefully see him in the UFC before too long. But for now, he plans to rule Bellator's 155-pound division with an iron fist. These two guys aren't just getting attention for their surname, folks. They are both undeniably the real thing.